y'all, this is She Buys It with Whitney Nicely. Yay! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the She Buys It podcast. This is Whitney Nicely, and I have a lovely guest here who has just transferred from one part of the country to the other part of the country, but she's doing deals all over the country. Y'all are just going to love talking to Camilla, or hearing, I should say, Camilla's story today. And I want to introduce this wonderful mom. She's working on a project with her daughter right now, so she got some money for college. But long-term goals, it's all about those multi-units, y'all. So let's get started. Let's chat. Camilla, please say hello. Let me know if I've missed anything, and tell me where you are right now in that whole transition across the country.
Hey, sure. Thanks so much, Whitney, for having me on. I'm so excited to chat with you today and just talk about real estate. I could talk about real estate all day. So it's so fun to talk to, especially another woman in real estate too.
Isn't it awesome?
Yes. So
it feels like when I'm out in the world doing, real estate, it feels like I'm out there all alone, but we are finding tons of women who are out there getting their deals done and creating success on their own terms, which doesn't always mean Lamborghinis and private yachts. It could just mean having time to invest in your relationship with your daughter. I love that. Everybody has a different version of success, and that's what we like to talk about.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I've been doing real estate for 18 years, and in those beginning, like those first 15 years, I swear I thought I was the only woman out there doing anything kind of investing. And part of that was my own fault because I didn't really put myself out there and network. But these last 3 years that I've started really networking and getting to know women like you, and I mean, all sorts of women are coming out of the woodwork, and my heart is so happy because I found my tribe. It's like, yes, here's my tribe.
Finally, where have y'all been all my life?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I completely agree. I remember my mom has always been an investor, so I grew up like your daughter. I've always been in real estate, but I didn't ever put the dots together. My mom didn't ever do a flip project with me until I was like 25. And so I love that you and your daughter are doing a flip right now, a rehab right now, so that she can have some real experience and not, flip flop around like I did for 8 years or so.
Yeah. So I actually have 5 children, and I take my children with me when I'm doing my rehab projects. And so they all know their way around all the power tools, and my husband likes to do construction too. And so we as a family, we do this as a family, and we've been doing it since they were babies. I have pictures of my twin baby daughters with their hands stuck in, the big buckets of paint, and they're crying because they got paint everywhere. And it's just so fun. It's so fun. So
those memories are beautiful too.
Yes, they are. They are. And it's hilarious because my oldest daughter, her impression of changing her room or designing her room is knocking down a wall.
I mean, if we're not knocking down a wall, are we even bothered?
Why not? Why don't we just make it bigger?
Seriously, there's some square footage that nobody's using over there. I could totally do that.
That's right. Go for it. Just knock that wall down. You'll be good.
Well, fantastic. So you were in Atlanta, and now you're in Arizona. How did that switch happen with 5 kids and a husband and all that?
We're a pretty nomadic family. We love to move. Like I crave change. And if I'm somewhere more than 2 years, I start itching, and I look at my husband like, come on, maybe we should go somewhere else, find something new. And I think it's mostly because I grew up in the same place mostly my whole life, and didn't experience anything new until later in life when we moved out of to another state. And I was like, wow, people live different. They do. They live different. And I just fell in love with that. And so we move purposely to different parts of the country, just so we can open up our eyes, expand our minds, and meet new people. I just love to see and hear how people live their lives and what they do. And when we moved to Atlanta, we were immediately greeted with this beautiful plate. The Southern hospitality was just amazing. and people were just very kind and loving. And now we're out in Phoenix, Arizona, And we're finding that people here are very happy. I mean, it's sunshine all the time. I guess how can you not be happy? Although I am a winter girl. I actually really love the snow. So I'm missing the snow a lot because here it is January 7th and it's 72 degrees outside. So it's good though. But it's good.
I'm a little bit of a gypsy myself. I am based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. My husband lives in Georgia, but he works in Florida. So I go back and forth between 3 states, and I love it because I'm wherever I'm going to be for a short amount of time, which means I get a lot done while I'm there, and then I move again, and then I move again. And I do kind of like having a house and knowing that where I'm going to be. We were in hotels for a while and that wasn't as much fun, but yeah, it is nice to go and explore and meet new people and find different things going on. And I have to say though, I do enjoy going back home. I like having a home base and then just going on trips.
Over there. Yeah, I like that model too. Maybe we'll try that model, keep one place at home. And I mean, I've always told my husband my ideal life is where we, have one place we stay for 6 months and then we spend 6 months in another place and then we'll come back. 6 months in another place and come back. That's kind of tricky with school for 5 kids, but
yeah. I can imagine. I could imagine. Yes, how tricky that'd be. I like Knoxville. My properties are there, my businesses are there, but if I stay there, I get that itch like you were talking about. Like I gotta go. I gotta change something. I get restless and then it's just no good. So I just leave.
And investing is, it's been nice in investing too, because you move to different parts of the country and you learn that, oh, well, this strategy will actually work really well here that didn't work at my other place. And so it's been nice to invest kind of in lots of different states. And then I don't get, I think sometimes investors get stuck in, well, I can't go outside of 2 hours of my house, right? And I'm a huge advocate of, expand your horizons. There are great deals to be had all over. And if you can't find them in one place, you can fly somewhere. I mean, the world is so accessible. It is so accessible.
It is. It's very true. I like, though, I'm one of those that I want them within 2 hours of each other. I like having a honey hole. I like knowing that if I send a guy out, he can go see 5 properties in like an hour and not have to have 50 different utility companies and 50 different plumbers. Like, yeah. I think it is because I like to be a gypsy. I want everything just simple and streamlined, and I just want that money to come in. I don't even want to think about it. So that's my, pro for having everything close. But my honey hole in East Tennessee is super affordable. It's so amazing. When we're looking for deals, I can't find anything across the country that I can't just find at home. So if I was in Nashville, I'd have a different perspective on that. But in Knoxville, I like my 2-hour little honey hole.
That's perfect. I love it. I mean, whatever works for you.
Exactly. There's thousands of ways to make money in real estate. And I love hearing different perspectives because just because it's my way doesn't mean it works for everybody.
Right.
I love that you are moving and going and showing your kids real world examples of what they're learning in school too.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you invest away from where you live, nobody's going to come knock on your door and complain or try to pay rent late or anything like that. Like I could see some pros to not being convenient to get to. And people ask me all the time, if I live in a hot area, can I invest states away? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally do it.
Absolutely.
So how'd you get started? Tell me about your first deal. I'm obsessed with how you decided to get into real estate, how you push through getting that first deal, because it's magical. That first deal is just a life-changing experience to, holy crap, I can really do this.
Yep.
Tell me how I got started and tell me about that first deal.
Okay. First deal was when I was 22, and it was a house hack. So
nice.
It wasn't called house hack back then. There's trendy terms now that are house hack, right? But essentially, it was a house that had 2 kitchens. So it had kitchen upstairs, had a kitchen in the basement, and 3 bedrooms in the basement, and And, you know, I thought, well, we could rent this out. We could totally buy this house because, you know, I was very poor. I was married and I had my very first child, my first baby. So I had babies really young, and we had no money, you know, but we knew we wanted to do something better. And I had just read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So that book came out in '97. And I had just barely read that book. And I thought, you know, I've got to change. I've got to figure out how to do this, because, you know, just working like a normal person, you know, I never wanted to be just a normal, traditional person. And so, so that's what we did. So we looked for a home that had the ability to be able to rent the basement. We rented the basement out to my husband's brother and a couple of his guy friends, which, you know, maybe not the best choice in the world, but it worked. And it made, we paid maybe $100 a month ourselves for our house. And it had a pool. I mean, how cool was that?
And you were 22 and everything was fun and it was exciting. And man, I wish more 22-year-olds knew that they could do that, because I didn't know that when I was 22, and I'm 35 right now. I still don't own my own house, and I'm looking at buying a house, but I'm also trying to figure out, well, I could rent this upstairs room maybe to a traveling nurse or somebody that could help me offset this mortgage. So it took me a while, and I've done lots of deals to figure out what you figured out on the very first deal.
Yep. Yeah. So that was amazing. And that's what kind of started blowing my mind about real estate and the power that real estate has in investing in real estate. And so we just took that idea, and then I read another book that was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like one house at a time, or it said, you know, you could follow this strategy where you buy a house, you live in it, you fix it, you move out, rent it, and buy another one, right? And you accumulate houses that way. So that's the strategy that we started following. And we would rehab. So we would move out, you know, we would stay 2 years, we'd move out, and we would renovate and then rent.
So tell me why it's important to stay 2 years.
2 years. There's a rule about capital gains tax that says if you lived in the house for 2 years of the last 5, doesn't necessarily have to be consecutive, but 2 years of the last 5, then when you sell the house after year 5, you don't have to pay capital gains tax. So that's exactly why we followed that strategy, and it worked beautifully.
I love that strategy also, because you get to take your time on the fix and flip. You might eat a little bit more sawdust than you appreciate, but you know, if you're buying the right kind of places, if you got a kitchen upstairs and a kitchen downstairs, then you just live downstairs and flip the upstairs, and then you move up and then do the down, or, you know, whatever you got to do to make it work. But you're not under that time crunch of having to do it all so fast,
right? Because
you need 2 out of 5 years.
Right. And so we're doing one right now as we speak, right? We moved to Phoenix, and so we do this everywhere we go. We buy a house, we renovate it, we live in a mess with 5 kids in a mess, and we make it work, you know, and the kids are super great at helping. So, I mean, my daughters, you know, my 14-year-old twin daughters, they assembled all the cabinets for us for this house, and, you know, and they've installed it, everything. And, you know, right now they're learning how to make concrete countertops, and, you know, so it's been, it's super cool, fun.
Wonderful. I have a friend who works on the She Buys It team, actually, and she has 5 kids also, and they lived in a camper for like 2 years with 5 kids while they were building a house.
Oh, wow.
So I don't want to compare nightmares, but either one of those, because I don't have any kids, either one of those situations sounds like a nightmare to me. But I'm glad y'all are making it work, because that is some true bonding and memories that you'll never forget. And those girls already have more skills than I do. I'm a general contractor and don't know how to use a hammer. So they can put together cabinets. Good stuff, girls.
Be good. They're going to be good. Yep.
I love that strategy too, because anybody can do that. You don't have to be a part-time investor, and you don't have to plan on going full-time investing to be able to buy a house, rent it, move on, or move on, then rent it, I guess. And most people think that when they get done with the house, they have to sell it, get a down payment, buy the next one. And it's this awful like time crunch. Everything has to happen within 24 hours. And oh my gosh, if something, blah, 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 like, y'all chill. There's other ways to do some real estate out there. And save on capital gains. Hello.
Right. That's right. It's awesome. It's been a really good strategy for us. But
I love it.
But as we've gone through, you know, the years of doing that strategy, so it's made us some decent money, and we've learned a lot of really great skills. But I found myself trying to figure out how to scale, you know, because, you know, taking your own little family and moving into a house, and, you know, every 2 years, like, you don't accumulate properties very quickly. And so there was a point in our journey that I said, you know, we need to do something bigger. And so we decided to go for some multifamily. We started with a small fourplex, and we had an investor that came in with us, so learned about how to work with investors and get them involved in deals also. And we did this fourplex. And then I decided that I wanted the full experience. I was going to manage it all myself. We were going to do all the maintenance ourselves. We're going to do everything ourselves. and you know, I think that was, a lot of people would regret that decision because it was a ton of work. It was a lot. But I don't regret it because it taught me some amazing things. And I think it really set me up for success later in life, because I went through the hard and I dealt with termites and toilets and, you know, tenants, and, you know, the pipe burst in the middle of Christmas holiday at the fourplex and soaked 2 of the units because I had forgotten to turn it off, you know, like, so we went through all these crazy things. You know, we couldn't find proper snow care removal. And so we were over there one January, like with big, huge pipes, like crushing the ice in the parking lot and moving it and stuff. But it was quite the experience. But I learned a lot. I learned so much.
I'm glad you like winter weather, because that also sounds like a nightmare to me. Like, no way am I getting out and busting up some ice. No.
It builds muscles. Come on.
So where was that?
That was in Utah, in northern Utah is where we spent the bulk of most of our investing was in northern Utah. And then we also invested in Indiana and Georgia, and now in Phoenix, Arizona.
Awesome. So you were living in Utah then and managing that one. So you were close when you were doing that one.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely close when I was doing that one. Because I didn't know the magic of mailbox money yet. I just thought it's hard work. You put in the hard work and you just work, and that's how you make money and grow.
Do you still have that property in Utah?
No, that one, we've sold that one. Yep.
So, but you have properties in other places, and you're not going by and busting up ice in Indiana from Arizona. No. So what's going on with those deals? Tell me about that.
I think my ice busting days might be over. But no, so I think the magic of mailbox money happened when we lived in Indiana, and we picked up 2 properties in Indiana, and then we moved to another state. And we knew that managing from another state was going to be really difficult to do your own property management. So we hired these amazing people called property managers.
Yay!
you can
hallelujah for property managers
to do that for you. And then the most blissful thing happened, because I thought about those properties once a month when I got a check in the mail. And that's it. You know, that was it. And I was like, wow, I kind of like this gig. This is pretty great. And so that put me on the journey toward, okay, how can I figure out how to generate more passive income rather than this active busting up ice income, you know? And so that's when I really dove deep into multifamily. And so last year, at the beginning of 2019, I told myself, all right, this is your year. You turn 40 this year. For your birthday, you're going to buy yourself a big old apartment building. And so that's what I worked toward. And it took a ton of education. It took a ton of, you know, networking, educating myself. but I think I had a leg up because I had already gone through, 15 years of real estate investing. And so it was just kind of adding an extra layer to my education. And then, in December of 2019, I got my goal. I didn't get it right on my birthday, but I got it a couple months later. So.
Yay! Well, that's fantastic. At least, I mean, it came through because you were persistent and you kept going.
Yes. Yeah. It took a lot of persistence because, when you think about buying something that's 100 units as opposed to 4, like a fourplex, your brain has a hard time computing that. And you're thinking, oh my, is it, can I really do this? Like, the property, my fourplex I bought was $250,000. This apartment complexes are, 4, 5, 6, 15, $20 million, right? A million with an M. And so your brain's thinking, whew, I've never thought in millions before. But really, it's very similar concepts, very similar, things. And, I taught myself how to analyze them and to do the financial analyses and just really tons of education. So until I felt comfortable and knew that, okay, now it's time to take action and go and get that dream. And so that's what I did.
How many deals do you think you analyzed last year?
Oh, at least 50 to 60 deals. So
I think that is amazing in itself too, because people see on Facebook and Instagram and all over the place that, it looks like it's just the first property that comes across your desk and it makes $1 million and it's amazing and gorgeous and you're going to retire. And people don't realize that you're going to have to look at and probably try a couple times and get rejected a couple times. You're going to have to hear no a couple times. You're going to get outbid a couple times. You're going to, something will go crazy in the inspection. You'll back out a couple times. You got to go through 50 or 60 deals, analyze, spend hours of your time looking at these before you find the one.
Yep. And the one is all worth it, right? Totally worth all that time to put in. And then the cool thing about once you get the one is you've already learned so much and been rejected, and you've gone through this staring at the spreadsheet with your hand in your head and you're like, oh, I cannot figure out the numbers, right? And then you get one and then things start moving, right? So, I mean, my plans for 2020, I've got a couple of deals that are, kind of on the hook that I'm trying to reel in, and I've got, just a lot of things going and just super excited for 2020. It's going to be a great year. Really.
I love it. Now tell me about the deal that you got for your 40th. Tell me how that one works out. How many units is it? What's the plan? Is it a value play? Is it an equity? Is it just cash flow? What are you looking for here?
It's 107 units.
Yes.
It's a value add play, which means that it's one that is needs to be renovated, or the operating expenses are too high, or the vacancy is really low, right? So you look for those 3 things to be able to go in and add value by addressing one or maybe all 3 of those issues, right? And so that's what's happening with that property is that we're going to do some renovations on it. We're going to fix them, put in better management, and then we'll raise the rents, up to market rent. And so.
And who is the we? Do you have partners in on this, or?
Yeah, for sure. So multifamily is a team sport, which was another reason it took so long for me to get into the big multifamily, because I'm a, do-it-yourselfer, right? I did everything myself. I learned how to tile, right? And so, multifamily is a team sport. And so there's a large group. I mean, you have a construction management person, we have a finance person, we have a lawyer on our team, you have, CPAs on your team, and then you have investors on your team. So passive investors. So those, for people who want to invest in real estate, but don't want to bust up ice, don't want to do all the active things, or maybe they just don't even know how, but they know that investing in real estate is something that we should be doing. So I believe everyone should be investing in some type of real estate. I'm not going to say don't ever invest in stock market, you know, because I believe in diversification. I still have money in the stock market, but it doesn't give me nearly the returns that real estate does. Also, I can like see my properties. You know, I cannot see what a stock even look like, right?
That's what I'm gonna say. It's so satisfying to drive by and see something that you own.
Yep. You can see pictures. I mean, you can touch it. It's very tangible. Whereas stock is just this weird concept out in the universe that's hard for me to wrap my brain around.
I think it's boring, and it closes at 4 on Fridays, and then it's just a bunch of guys talking on TV, and I think it's so boring. And I tried so hard to get into stocks. I mean, I spent like 2 years trying to do like day trading and stuff. Like I tried, and it was just so boring. And then it was closed, and I was like, you know what? I want to do something I can touch. Real estate. Let's go.
Yep. And the other thing I really love about real estate is that I'm a very purposeful person. You know, I want to make sure that the things that I'm doing in life leave an impact. And it is so fulfilling to be able to provide a basic necessity for people that just makes my heart happy. It makes me feel like that I'm actually helping someone and making a difference. And, you know, I had a tenant once who was blind, and she had a seeing-eye dog with her, and just going and interacting with her and just talking to her about what's going on. And I worked with a lot of Section 8 housing folks too, and we opened our doors to all of them because, you know, everyone needs a place to live. And that's the other power of multifamily as well. You know, in the big real estate crash in 08, 09, the biggest hit was to single family housing, right? Multifamily went down a little bit, right, 0.4%, and then recovered the next year because all those people who lost their single family homes, they still need somewhere to live, right? And so by investing in, you know, these large apartment buildings, you're providing hundreds of people housing as opposed to just, you know, the one. And so I just, you know, in all of my projects that you know, my idea around this is let's make sure that we leave an impact. And so let's make sure we put in some kind of community element. Let's make sure that we keep the rents at achievable levels, you know. And so my target is not necessarily the class A, which is the super fancy apartment building with all the bells and whistles. I like to provide working class housing for people. And I think that's just a really important thing. You know, affordable housing, there's just this crisis going on. And so, you know, one of my big dreams is to help with that also. And so, you know, by taking my business to a certain level, I'll be able to really, I don't know, make a small dent. It's such a huge issue, but any little step that we can take as investors to help, I think will be magnificent.
Well, I mean, if you have 107 units, I believe that charity happens in lots of different ways. You could even designate 2 or 3 units for offsetting some sort of housing crisis. Yeah. And there's government grants out there for that. I met with our local county official, and he is looking for not just senior housing, but they call it intergenerational housing. It's grandparents raising grandchildren because the parent generation is incarcerated or in rehab or just disappeared or something. So there's this whole group of people that need housing for seniors, but they don't just want a studio unit because they got 2 or 3 grandkids, and then they need to be in the right schools, and then they need to be close to buses, and then so it's this whole thing going on. Yeah, I know in our county that is a population I'd never even considered.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I hadn't considered that either. You know, I was talking to a commercial real estate broker the other day, and I was explaining to him, you know, here's what I'm looking for. It's exactly what I want to do. And he looked at me and he's like, you know, I think if more people in the capital world would help with this, we could solve this problem so much faster than government, you know, right now. And so it was just really, really cool. Anyway, it gives me chills.
I believe in that too. And I also believe that the more women we have in real estate investing,
absolutely,
the more women. Can we just stop right here for a minute? but we see needs because we're women and we're nesters and we like community atmosphere and we like to help other people. I'm not saying the dudes don't. I'm just saying it's not a natural thing for them to consider as much as the numbers and the black and white and the paper and the end of the year and this and that and the other. Yeah, but how are we giving back? How are we really improving the community? It's great that we're making great big money, but how are the other people being affected as well? Right. And women just tend to see those opportunities and put that at the forefront of projects that they do.
Yep. Yeah, there's a woman investor that I heard about a couple weeks ago, and I've got to meet her now, but she owns apartment communities, and every Christmas she does a rent-free Christmas. And it's interesting how she does it for one family. So within that apartment community, she asks everybody within the community to nominate someone else in their community for this rent-free Christmas. And then she gives it to them. Like, I don't know. It makes me
team effort there too, because she gets everybody involved. So everybody has an opinion. Everybody feels like they're in. And I mean, the tenants know who needs help.
Yep. Absolutely. So I'm going to do it.
I've never heard of that, but I like that. Love it. And we can start implementing that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So tell me, we got this value add property, and this is the one that you got for your 40th. What kind of plans do you have for 2020?
Oh, big plans for 2020. So working on several different, so I want to pick up a couple more properties this year. And then also probably my biggest plan is to start educating other women how they can invest in real estate passively in one of these big, they're called syndications is the big word for it, but one of these big multifamily projects. And so I've been working a lot on creating content for that and just talking to other women. One of my dreams, here's a dream of mine, to put together a syndication that is all women. That is, a woman commercial real estate broker, a woman mortgage broker, a woman attorney, and then all the investors are women. And I just think that would be so amazing. But there's just really amazing power in, feeling like that you have control of your money. So financial health is something that's really important to me. It's something I've studied, since I was 22. We figured this out. We chose the no debt route, and we just really placed an importance on financial health in our life. And I think that's so important. And I want other women to feel the weight that's lifted off your shoulders when you have financial health, right? When you're just healthy financially. Health in all aspects of life is important, right? But I think that my unique voice can help teach about financial health and investing in real estate. While it's not it's not the 101 of financial health. The 101 of financial health is, budgeting and controlling your expenses and getting out of debt, right? But I think it's the next level, right? So once you get past that, what next, right? So here I am, I have this great job that I love, and I'm making a good income now. Now what? Oh, well, I heard you're supposed to, open up a mutual fund, put money in a retirement account. Okay. No, like passive income is where you need to be. That is where you need to be, because passive income will last you through your whole life. You don't need to save a ton of money. You need to invest a ton of money. And so that's my message. And so that's what I'm trying to really push, because I want to help. So my goal is 100 women to help invest in real estate.
I love that. And I am totally in on this all women syndication. Like,
perfect. Sign you up.
I'm so in on that. And I've got so many different ideas for that, but yes, I'm in for sure. And I also want to say that, we can't all go back to 1997 and read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but we can read Rich Dad, Poor Dad now. Yeah, but I think it's important for us to lean on the women that have been in real estate for 15, 20, 25 years and realize that now is our time to come together and say, okay, we can do this. And maybe women have been in corporate America for 20 years, but they've always wanted to do this, but they never made that leap. A syndication would be a great way for those women to get involved and to invest that big money. And some of them may want to invest that time too, because I talk to a lot of ladies that are at home and raising babies, and I mean, babies like in high school too. And they don't want to get a 9-to-5. They don't want to go back to that, but they could get into real estate and create that passive income, and not just money for them, but then money for their kids and generational wealth. And I love Proverbs 31:16. She goes to inspect a field and she buys it. With her earnings, she plants she plants a vineyard. So I've transcribed that a little bit and robbed it a little bit to, you know, she buys it. You can go do this. You can inspect these fields, these apartments, and you can buy them. And then you plant generational wealth. A vineyard doesn't just produce. It's got to take some time to get rolling, which is what these deals do when you start setting up passive income. I love it. Absolutely.
And you think about the impact that you're leaving, right? So not only are you leaving impact on the tenants who are you're providing housing for, you're leaving impact on your own family, you know, and the more you, and I truly believe that the more you allow your own light to shine, it helps others to shine their light, you know, gives them permission to, okay, I'll turn on my flashlight too, right? So yeah, I'm all in, and I'm trying really hard. You know, I have 5 children, 4 of which are daughters, and I'm in their faces all the time talking about finances, and you know, this is what we do and this is how we do it, and we do it, but we do it with you know, not for the glory, right? Not for to have tons and tons of money. We do it to be healthy, right? And to have this financial health, because, you know, I believe God put money on this earth for us to figure out how to manage it, right? It's our job to manage it. And so that's what we got to do.
And that's how we tithe, and that's how we buy food, and that's how we do all the things. I've never traded my best horse for, you know, anything else. It's the money, and there's nothing wrong with money. It's the same as this phone. It's just how you use it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
I love that. Now I got to tell you that I've got 19 units, and I'm a little bit of a hybrid DIYer because I've never done a syndication. Those big numbers still make my brain go all over the place. And I have pretty much self-funded all my deals, but you've made me really excited to start looking at some bigger deals and maybe dipping my toe into some syndications. And so for that, I appreciate you coming on and even pouring into me a little bit. That was fantastic.
Good. You should. And think about it this way. Think about opening up opportunities for other people, right? And so that's where I had to get to also, because I self-funded everything as well. And then I got to I heard a podcast once that told me that I was being selfish, and I was like, oh. And that hit me in the, you know, in the gut, and I'm like, okay, I need to share, because I actually have a lot of knowledge and I have things to share, and I can help a lot of people.
I'm glad you said that, because I had a conversation in the shower with myself this morning.
Perfect.
And I have a program that helps women buy houses without banks and a license. First deal done fast. Okay. Got it. Whatever. I love it. I'm the broker for Whitney Buys Houses. Like, houses are my thing. I just love them. Right. But I also have a program called Apartment Blitz, which helps women do up to 20 deals. Most of the ladies that come through can self-fund, and they want to do a little bit of hybrid DIY. Like, I've got a triplex that I manage, but then my 16 units, we have a property manager, and we've just got a limit, and then I step in, right?
Yeah.
So it's a hybrid situation, and it works for me right now. I'm outgrowing it a little bit, but that's what it is. So in the shower this morning, I decided that I am technically not qualified to teach women how to do apartments. And I realized this about 3 years into having a program where I teach women how to buy apartments. But then on the other side, I was like, wait a second. I've helped like 20 women get into apartment deals. So even though I don't have it all figured out, and I am not completely qualified, and this is not my passion in life, I'm still helping women get deals done.
That's awesome. Love it.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, we're doing apartment blitz. It's actually at the end of this month. We take 1 month every year to just focus on apartments, because one reason that I do love apartments is, like you said earlier, it's a once a month thing, and it could be a once a year thing. Once you get as many as you want and you're comfortable with it, then you don't have to hustle it like you do houses.
Right. Yeah.
You can put it up on autopilot and just think about it once a year if you want to, or once a month when the check comes in and you say, thank you, Lord, thank you. Here's this slice of that, and next month we roll on.
Yep. Yeah. That's the beauty of multifamily. That you know, there's a lot of advantages to multifamily that I am loving right now. Still like single family, right? I will always have a project going on with single family. In fact, my oldest daughter is 17. She's a senior in high school, and she wants to flip a house to earn money for college. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so I'm teaching her, and I'm asking her to do a lot of the research and the back end work, and I'm just kind of guiding her through it. And so yeah, we're gonna pick up a flip soon and just work it.
Well, I love that, because my mom never actually taught me that. When I was younger, she pitches in a little bit now, but she was collecting the rent every month. I saw her making a bank deposit, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute. What is that money? You mean, wait, what? I said, how do I get involved? She's like, go figure it out. Thanks, Mom.
Right, well, she had to, right? So
yeah. I mean, nobody ever connected the dots for me. Like, she showed me and she'd tell me anything, but it was probably my fault for not reaching out and saying, help, Mom. It's all good though. So thank you so much for teaching your daughter and raising women that can take care of themselves financially. And when you have financial health, you have a lot stronger mental health and then physical health, because you don't have these stressors weighing you down, and you don't have these obligations and these awful conversations that we have with ourselves in our head, right? Yep. Because you can see the bigger picture.
Right. Absolutely. And I full on believe in hard work too. And it takes hard work to get there. And I want to acknowledge that it takes hard work, right? So if there's any women listening that are drowning in debt, I just want to make sure that you know that there's hope, right? You can break that cycle. You can, figure it out and make different decisions, and you can live differently to break that cycle. And once you've broken that cycle, I feel like you get an abundance of, that things come in faster than you thought they ever could.
And debt doesn't always have to be bad. I've had a hard time, struggled with this a little bit myself, that, we're taught credit card debt is bad, but if I'm charging up a Home Depot account because I'm flipping a house, I have to realize that that is just my avenue to fund this right now.
And in my mind, I delineate consumer debt, and then there's business leverage. And so you have to have leverage in your business. I got my MBA, and I distinctly remember in finance class, the finance teacher talking about this, and it blew my mind, because before I was thinking, debt is really bad. Don't ever have debt in anything that you do. And he mathematically showed us how bad it is for a business to not have leverage, right? That you have, if there's way too much cash in a business, then you are not, you cannot accelerate, you cannot grow like you can if you use that leverage. And so the leverage is there. I mean, there's no way I just bought this apartment building all cash, right? Like, who's got, I don't have that kind of money yet, maybe someday, I don't know, right? But we use that leverage, and so consumer debt is something I think you want to try your hardest to get rid of. That's the stuff that's weighing you down, like business leverage. No, that's different.
I mean, if you go buy a Louis Vuitton bag and you had to pay 20% on your credit card for 3 years on it, that's probably something that you should not do. But if you got to go to Home Depot and charge up a big account because you're buying drywall and stuff, like, that's not bad. Do it, baby. You will cash that out later. And if you're building a business, it's really hard to build a business and not take on some amount of debt. Even if you take on you know, houses, the way I buy is with lease options and owner financing. Well, that's debt that I'm taking on. So you can be debt free, you can pay everything off, but like you said, you got to know where you are starting. So even today, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I don't have any credit card debt, but I owe $1 million on all these houses and apartments, well, then you have debt. It's good leverage, but you can also overcome that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then use that money that you got in equity on those properties to grow and scale. That's some serious leverage.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's when it really gets into some magical mailbox money.
Yes, it does.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Camilla, you've been a joy today. Thank you so much. If anybody's listening to this and she's trying to get started, get her first deal done fast, or get her first apartment deal, what kind of advice do you have for a lady getting started now?
So getting started now, I always recommend house hacking. You've got to house hack because it teaches you how to, one, work with tenants, right? Advertise and get a tenant in there. And then it shows you the power of real estate. And that's how you start believing in it. You know, so flipping houses is a ton of work, right? And if you want to go flip houses, I think you need a mentor. I think you need someone to help you go flip a house. Hey, sorry, Whitney, she will help you.
I can do that.
But house hacking is something that is just a really easy way to get into real estate. And then you can follow the model that I used, right? You just house hack your first one. You could house hack the second one, the third one, the fourth one. I mean, we got too many babies, so we couldn't really house hack anymore, right? But we figured out a different way to do it. And so I think that's a great path for anyone. And I've already told my daughter when she goes to college, I said, you're buying a duplex or a fourplex, or you're going to be renting out rooms, right? So you can live for free while you go to college. College is expensive enough, right? You don't need to be paying for housing too.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, thank you again so much. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, how can they follow up or ask you any questions, or what you got?
Yeah, sure. I own Steady Stream Investments, so you can definitely come to my website if you're interested in investing passively. You can sign up for my crew. It's my investor crew, and I'll teach you all the things you're going to need to know to be able to invest. And it's a simple process, and it's something that's not, I know it feels like it might be so hard to understand, but you can definitely find me there. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You can just search for my name. You can connect with me in all of those places.
I love that. That was awesome. Thank you again so much. All right, y'all. This has been the She Buys It podcast. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this, then share it with all your girlfriends. Don't forget to tag She Buys It wherever you're sharing it. And I have a free gift for you. Go to getyourfirstdeal.com, and I'm going to send you a free gift straight to your inbox. Check it out. Let me know how you like it, and hopefully we'll help you get that first deal done fast. Whether it's your first deal or just your first deal now, your next first deal, your first deal with me. I'm happy to help you. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be back next week. Bye.